This is the In Retrospect show, a monthly periodical without the blood and mess.
Happy New Year!
We've lost half of our listeners.
And it's also about video games. Happy New Year indeed, and Merry Christmas. I hope you had a good one. Ours is all right, as you'll find out later on in the show. I'm your host, Sam Turner. Joining me, the Professor of Picasso. It's Peter Willington. The Doctor of Dali. It's Chris Darby. Yeah. And the fancier of finger paintings. Oh, it's Daniel Frost.
What's a fancier?
There you are. Oh, I don't know. Well,
what is it? No, you explain, Dan. What is a fancier?
Well, that's what I don't know. I didn't realise I'd mastered it in this. Some kind of fanciering.
I didn't say you were a master.
Qualification of mine.
You mastered. Well, if you're a fancier of finger paintings, kind of just someone who dabbles in the odd finger here and there.
Literally. This has got off to a weird start, 2015.
Well, I had to kind of start it in this place because of our... Well, there are things that haven't happened. And you all know what I'm talking about. And you know what's going on. So, before we get into Chris's gaming news, before we talk about Bubsy, Bubs 3D, which is going to happen in this show, we got a glitch of the month, Chris?
Yeah, thumbs ups again.
Thumbs up on camera.
We've been doing this for several years now, Chris.
Sorry,
and thumbs ups don't work in an audio format.
I thought for polite.
You still don't realise that thumbs up doesn't work in just an audio environment.
Well, that was a very glitchy introduction, but yeah, there is a glitch of the month, Sam.
Well, wonderful. Well, we'll roll with that. But first of all, we just need to explain what happened with our game. Omitted from the Christmas show because we didn't really know what was kind of happening with it at the time, so I thought it best just to steer clear. But as you probably have realised, that it wasn't actually released just in time for Christmas.
Well, there was a question mark at the end of it, so
we didn't specify
exactly.
a year.
So, yeah, well, I think the question mark is now entirely valid in the title of the game. What went wrong? What went wrong?
What went wrong?
What went wrong? What went wrong, guys? Go on. The whole point about this project was for us to gain experience of what it would be like developing our own game, and just like every game that's produced nowadays, it's been delayed.
Yeah, it delayed. So I think the game is now available. There is a page on InRetrospectPodcast.com which you'll be able to go to and see it, and we're going to put it on itch.io so you can download it from there. So it's now available, so it is out now. I think the exciting thing about it is that, you know, we did all manage to club together and make a fairly interesting game concept into a finished product. Whether or not that finished product is interesting in and of itself is up for debate. But, you know, like, it's done. We did it. We did it.
We are now game developers.
We did do.
We are officially now game developers.
Yeah. In the same way as a person who plays Minecraft is an architect.
In retrospect, now sits at the same table as Naughty Dog, is what we're saying, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There will be specials on us in the near future, I'm sure.
I'll tell you what, the whole experience has intrigued me somewhat, because I'm going to invest in a Raspberry Pi.
Ooh.
At some point, and learn how to code even what basically through their program. So it has inspired me slightly to try and learn a bit more about it. So if we should do this again, I feel better equipped, and we won't be leaving Chris to do all the work.
Yeah, sorry.
I think the biggest issue we had, I think, overall, was the fact that we aren't games developers full time. So we all have our own work and our own lives. We then have to fit games development around it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that our game was a particularly complex game that required 24 hours a day dedication. It wasn't. However, life does kind of take over, and it then affects how much time we can put in, and then obviously delays are then caused, and that kind of goes for each and every one of us.
Particularly, there were particularly selfish people, for example, who got married in the middle of development, like that. That happens.
Well, that was actually quite early on, so that was very much in the brainstorming session before we actually got down to any hard development.
That was a hell of a stag do, wasn't it, gents? Where we basically took over. Yeah. To be honest, actually, the coding side of things, it's funny once you know the rules, it's kind of like, particularly with the architecture of our game, it was kind of a rinse and repeat thing. I had to literally work it out on paper first in terms of picturing the numbers of each square or room in my head to be able to code it effectively and be able to work out, okay, if I'm linking into that room, it means that room then links into this room, that kind of thing. So as long as I could do the first 2 squares, I could feel comfortable doing the rest of them. And I actually, to be honest, I coded the whole game in about a day. Solid. Sat at this computer for a day. And so it was right against the wire, and I was sending you guys frantic emails and text messages at strange hours, just getting confirmation of certain things. I realised I'd not properly listened / looked at Dan's map properly, because I'd originally had us starting in a different place to what Dan had envisaged having us in, which meant I had to completely redo everything I'd done.
Amazing.
Fix that. But fortunately, it wasn't that difficult to do. So there were some slight niggles, I think, with the final product. But unlike lots of games that have come out recently, as we'll talk about in Glitch of the Month, we're not, in retrospect, we're not going to send out a game that's full of glitches.
We'll just patch it afterwards.
Send out an update.
But I think, like Sam, you're saying it's inspired you to do coding, get a Raspberry Pi, that. It was part of that inspiration. I'm in exactly the same boat. I feel inspired to make more stuff from this. But I think I've learned, the 2 things that I've learned are, 1, I don't want to overreach myself in the next thing that I create, and 2, I don't really want to make it with any of you.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Well, what a wonderful...
When you say overreach yourself, Pete, what do you mean?
Well, what I'm talking about here is, in terms of overreaching, we came up with a really big concept for a game, and then tried to fit it into an engine, which was interesting in and of itself, but it isn't, it wasn't the regular thing. We didn't just go, let's just make a point-and-click adventure of 4 rooms, and that'll be really, really easy. We said, right, we're going to do this thing where you can navigate and do all this sort of stuff. So it's actually quite big in that way. So I'm going to, if I was to do something else, I would want to do something in, Inkle Writer or Twine or something like that was really, really easy to get me going. And then in terms of not hanging out with you jerks and doing it, I feel like it was such an awesome experience, working with all of you to do all of this, and we were all pushed into slightly different boundaries to do different things, and I think that was really cool. But on top of that, because we're not all in the same place, we couldn't all just have that conversation where it was oh no, you need to do it like this, and then point on a screen and say this is what we needed to do. So Chris, you ended up in this situation where you were emailing people going, well, I don't understand what this was, and all it would take is, if we were all in the same office, let's say we were big professional developers, we could just say, oh, well, this is what I need. But because it's all being communicated via Skype, it just didn't.
And there you've hit on all of Ubisoft's problems in the last 4 or 5 years.
I can't imagine how a 900-person studio communicates with a 400-person studio to make one cohesive game.
We are, in some respects, a microcosm of Ubisoft. I've often been.
We are. I'm Ubisoft Montreal, if anyone asks. So coming up on the first show of this brand new year, 2015, we got Bubsy 3D, a retrospective look back at Bubsy.
No, it's not quite that.
Well, it is.
It's a visit to the John Turrell Retrospective. John Turrell Retrospective was the exhibition in Los Angeles, I believe it was. So it's not a retrospective look back at Bubsy. It's Bubsy having a visit somewhere.
It's called. Its full title is Bubsy 3D. Bubsy visits the James Turrell Retrospective, because they spelled the name wrong on the website.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Well, I really look forward to that chat.
You've teased
What I love
really
about
well now.
the way that you host the show,
is
Sam, is your
sated.
enthusiasm. It really is.
Yeah, it shines through, doesn't it? We've also got some games we got each for each other for 12th night. We'll have a quick brief chat about that. But upon the horizon, the sun is glaring and the birds, they are flying, and the bells, they toll, but not for death. They toll for wonderful things, and they're heralded in for the new year. It's Chris's Gaming News. Bong!
Mascot crashes to the top of iconic character pole.
Snappy. Bong!
Boosting backwards ban.
Bong!
Engineer kills 2 consoles with 1 laptop.
Bong!
I think, therefore, I'm an Italian stereotype.
Brilliant. This is Chris's Gaming News. We pick 2 headlines out of the shambles that were Chris's 4 teasers, and we'll hear more about them. Some great ones there. As it's the new year, Dan, I'm going to let you pick one of them.
I think I want to pick one that I think I know what it is. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but I think it'd be a good conversation to have. And so I'm going to go for I think, therefore I am an Italian stereotype. So I think I know what this one is.
What do you think that's about?
I think that's about the German university who have developed a version of Mario who seemingly thinks for himself and becomes depressed at the way in which he kills Goombas in the world of Super Mario World.
So it's a self-aware Mario.
Yes, I believe that's the story. If not, it's a coincidental title.
It's Ex Mario, X other than Ex Machina. It's Ex Mario.
It doesn't really work when you have to
Pop culture
explain
reference.
what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, basically, indeed, you're quite right, Dan. It is basically the lovable Mario that you seemingly wanted to actually stab in the Christmas show, lest we forget, has been basically given artificial intelligence, emotive states.
Well, more artificial intelligence than he already has. But yeah, go on.
Well, I mean, in the sense that it doesn't. He moves and he acts without the player's volition at all.
So explain. So he's in the normal Mario world.
Yeah. He's able to learn the properties of certain items, and he can kind of strategize is the best way to deal with enemies.
So what does he do if you left him alone? Like,
he would basically first seek out what it is he wants and find the most efficient way of getting what he wants, kind of as we do as human beings. So when he's hungry, he searches for coins, and he actually does get curious about certain things as well, like, oh, what's that over there? And he will go and look for it.
Do you think, like Dan, over time he'd begin to realise the tedium of Nintendo and just give up?
Potentially. I mean, long term, who knows? Who knows where it is? But I think it's quite interesting.
Who knows? Because as we all know, Chris, Nintendo haven't come up with a creative idea since Mario.
Quoting Daniel Frost.
Quoting Daniel Frost there.
I think you're paraphrasing my comments before. That was just merely the basis of my thesis.
You do realise that in the month between recordings, Miyamoto dropped me an email, Dan, and he said,
"What did he say?"
He said,
"Can you do the voice?"
I was listening. No, I'm not going to do the voice.
Thank you for a lovely dinner.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I'll do the voice. All right, lads. I've heard your latest podcast. I'm a big fan, but I can't believe that Dan was slagging me off. I've made some amazing games recently, including Zelda, the latest one, Wii Music. I did that fitness one as well. Wii
Ooga
Sports.
Booga.
Now, Ooga Booga, and chuck us 20 Lambert and Butler, and we'll say no more.
So basically, they've got Danny Dyer as their PR manager.
Yeah, effectively. So that's a real thing that happened.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Cool.
Pete, you can pick the next headline.
No, they were all so good.
Yeah, they were.
Shall we go with what was the third one again? I seem to remember my sort of
engineer breaks 2 consoles.
Yeah,
engineer kills 2 consoles with 1 laptop.
Is that just a literal headline, or
was that the outage over Christmas?
No.
People were very angry. Oh no, okay. That was a hack though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a hack.
Yeah.
But this isn't
So
about
what was
that
it
at all. This one, just teasing you even more so, is about a person who can't choose between the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. So what do?
Buy both.
Buy both and like not do anything.
Buy a laptop.
That's literally the answer. Like that any sensible person would come to.
Or, well, no, what the sensible person should come to is buying a PS4, but...
Yeah.
Wow.
Except if you're my brother and you've got friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If you've got friends, get an Xbox One. But if you're
if you
us,
don't-
get PS4. Yeah, so what's this lunatic on the internet done?
Basically, a self-taught engineer called Ed Zarek, who has basically created...
An engineer in what? Like car mechanics or computer engineering?
Well, you just said self-taught. So is this the same way that I'm a self-taught 5-star chef?
We are self-taught games developers.
Maybe, but unlike our game, this looks...
Chris,
pretty
do you need some time to read
solid.
the story? Shall we just talk amongst ourselves?
No, no, basically what it is, I'm trying to see if you know the story. I thought everyone knew the story, but essentially what it is he's basically created a laptop that combines both consoles. Can play both the Xbox One and the PS4
Why?
on one big laptop.
Why is he bothered? Why is he bothered?
He can
But
take
you
the
said
single-
brakes. You said
He can take a
brakes.
laptop with him, and he's got an Xbox One and a PS4 at the same time. Think
I
about
don't
it.
understand. What do you...
I think
How-
basically
Why is that
what
a
he's
good
done,
thing?
he's taken a laptop, so that's an
Is that
easily
theoretical?
portable device.
No, he's built it. He's actually built it, and it looks pretty
But
good.
he's taken that and then he's incorporated the technology to be able to run
Hang
both
on.
games from those on the laptop. So he now has a device he can carry around.
No,
with him
no,
and both
no.
play both.
Dan, I think he's literally got like an Xbox and a PS4 in one building, housing, and he's just carrying it around a massive laptop. Sorry, I'm going to
He
search.
just wrapped
It's
duct tape around
called.
it.
It's called the Playbox.
Just see what he did. See what he did. Ah, classic.
I hate
Hang on.
people on the internet.
Hey.
I hate these kind of people. I'm sorry if you're listening, lunatic. But like, this is just why? Like, what's the point? Like, really simple. Like, there's literally 0 point in any of this because you could hook your PlayStation 4 up through your Xbox One, right? And use your Vita to do remote play, right? So you could definitely have like a PS4 and play that remotely with remote play. There's talk of the Xbox One getting that feature soon anyway. And all he's done is invalidate a warranty. 2 warranties.
Yeah, you just put them together in a box. We'll put the link up to on the website. But blatantly, what he's done is stripped them apart and squeeze them in a less aesthetical box with lots of fan holes in it.
Yeah, but it also
God's
surely
sake.
it also has the screen included, so you can take it. You couldn't sit on a train and play Uncharted 4 on the PS4. With the Playbox, theoretically you could, because you're sitting there with a screen and the PS4 in your lap, and then when you finish, you jump over and you play a bit of Halo 5.
I don't think one of those whimsical Virgin Trains tables would be able to hold such a monstrosity.
And also, I don't know how the public going to feel in the quiet coach if you just whip that out.
I've seen pictures
you
on.
hand your surround sound speakers to other people on either side of the aisle.
Watch this.
Watch how cool I am.
I've seen people who've taken Wii's onto trains before.
What? I saw someone take a whole Apple, you know, the Apple computer. I saw someone have work from that on a train once.
An iMac.
Yeah.
Madness.
Incredible.
Talking of madness, Chris's gaming news is just finished, and then Glitch of the Month will be later on in the show. I'll just shove it in a place where I deem it necessary. We'll talk about our 12th night games in a bit, but first it's time to discuss our free game of the month in a segment that we've always loved to call Free Play.
I've learned the music. I got it right this month.
Guys, this game is amazing.
Great, and now I don't have to put the theme
Yeah.
in. So I'll just leave that in. This month and since we announced it at the end of the Christmas show, we've been playing Bubsy 3D, but not the Bubsy 3D you would know and love.
From
the PlayStation. Often voted the worst game ever made. This is Bubsy 3D. Bubsy visits the James Turrell Retrospective.
Now, this is...
Hang on. This is available on Bubsy3D.com. And should you go onto that website, you will see a website which looks like it was made in the 1990s. Right, Pete.
Right.
You directed us all to this monstrosity.
This is the beginning. 2015 is going to be the beginning of me choosing the games for this section, hopefully, or putting awesome video games in front of everybody and going, choose between these weird ones. This is the first one, right? Now, this game is amazing, and it's often been referred to as a punk game, of like a very clear example of what's called punk games. So the idea is that you control Bubsy, and it makes no qualms whatsoever that it is Bubsy, even though this does not have the license whatsoever. They just made a game with Bubsy in it, because why not? It's a 3D game, it's a platformer game, and it is played entirely in your browser. And the idea, supposedly, is to go ahead and collect all of the items in an area and get to the exit, and then you move on to the next stage like you would a normal platformer. But it turns out that that's not what you're doing, really. The whole idea is to... I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a comment on reincarnation and kind of...
This is the blurb it says on the website. It says, explore your relationship with art as you guide Bubsy through a realistic recreation of the James Turrell Retrospective, they spelt it right there, at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. After you have played Bubsy 3D and understand art a little better, Arcane Kids, who are the developers of this, encourages you to visit an art museum in your area and quit video games. Now, that's very much what I took from playing Bubsy 3D, was the idea that the need to collect things and progress through an area, making sure that you've picked up and seen everything, was less important than the whole experience of interacting with art in a way that you've never really interacted with it before. Now, the actual exhibition that you go into contains real artworks in a form presented as such, like the artist exists and they are presented as the artworks did in real life. So you essentially are experiencing a real museum, which I thought was actually quite interesting. There's one point where Bubsy goes, this is not, he says something like, this is not a usual way to interact with art. You know, sometimes you're sort of asked to step back from it, and you're essentially at one point you actually go into the pieces of artwork. And I thought, that's quite interesting, because, you think about, what is essentially an interactive experience if all you're doing is sitting back and watching like a video game. You're just sitting back and watching a screen rather than going to a physical place and seeing physical works of art. So I think it's got something to say, is what I'm trying to say this game has. But whether that's coherent and interesting, well. Good night.
So, I mean, should we talk about the mechanics just ever so slightly, like a little bit more?
Shouldn't take too long.
It's just running around, platforming. You can glide, and that pushes you into the air further. There are sort of extra things that push you into the air really fast. Things to collect, that sort of thing. There's speech bubbles that come up, different people to talk to. There are no enemies as far as I could find, and I played the game multiple times.
The only enemies are the mechanics,
it controls just as awkwardly as the original PlayStation sort of Bubsy 3D game did, if not slightly less awkwardly. It actually feels like a slightly better game than that did, it is definitely, if you were to try and strip out all of the meaning from it, mechanically the game is awful. It feels, it is broken. It is literally broken in places, to the point that the collectibles, you realise very early on that there's like 10 to collect or something like that of one of them, and you see like 12 in front of you, and there are 100 more after where that came from, you know. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, and then like sometimes bits of the UI sort of start wandering about the screen, doing their own thing. You can walk behind speech bubbles so that you can't see your character anymore.
There's a sequence where you walk into the gallery and one of the patrons who's looking at the art is about 12 feet tall.
Yeah, like lots and lots and lots of inconsistencies. It looks like it's been a game that's been thrown together really quickly, but when you add to this the idea that there is like maybe a meaning or a message or something to kind of interpret here, it definitely becomes like a punk game. Like it's a meaning that's been thrown together in a very quick manner. You know, like punk rock used to be, that. That's what the Ramones were. They were trying to say something, and they were doing it with whatever tools they had at their disposal. And it feels like this is a game that's doing exactly the same thing.
I kind of agree with that to an extent. However, I also just got the feeling as I was playing it that the people who made it seemed to just be really immature, and I found that...
Really?
Yeah, I think certain things, like you walk through the gallery and as you say, the one guy's 12 foot tall, another guy's 1 foot tall, and I could imagine kind of developers sitting there finding that really funny that the guy's really tall. And
it is really funny.
Well, is it though?
Yes. I just interpreted that as they didn't have enough models to make children, so they just... the adults are the taller ones, and then the younger people were shorter.
But you have a line of people all doing the exact same animation in a row, and
Dan, this is Bubsy 3D. What were we expecting?
But okay, so take it from another angle, right, Dan? Like, as I'm sure you've been playing, recently, all of the video games that are AAA and have all got these huge budgets, they are all very slickly put together. They all look brilliant. And when they go wrong ever so slightly or something looks out of place, it's so noticeable. And you might, if you look at games through an artistic lens, like, life isn't like that. Life isn't perfect. There are problems and there are flaws and there are inconsistencies in life. And if art reflects life, then perhaps we should have that in our games. And it's something that was explored a lot in the Katamari Damacy games and in Nobi Nobi Boy, which was by the same creator. And there are a couple of different games with artistic bents that are like that. And this is a game that was put together, as far as I can tell, really quickly, that's just kind of going, so what if there's an inconsistency? It's kind of part of it and part of its charm, and it is quite funny. Like, the art doesn't work. The art doesn't mesh whatsoever. And we also, to put it into another perspective, right? Like, you play Doom, right? And it's in the world around you is in 3D. But when you wander around a barrel, it's 2D. It's completely flat, right? It's the same angle from wherever you look. It's a completely different... it's a complete inconsistency, but you let it go because it's a video game and everything else kind of works. Whereas this game just highlights all of these flaws and goes, look how awful this is. None of this makes any cohesive sense.
So do you think, Chris, that basically they've made it rubbish on purpose to make you realise... Do you think they seriously want you to put down video games and go and enjoy some more art, and by making this game rubbish is their way of doing that? Because you'll sit there and you go, actually, yeah, video games are a bit rubbish. Like, they fall apart, they're inconsistent. I'm just pointing out flaws in them. This doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'm being overly critical rather than just enjoying the experience, which is what you do more with art than...
There's so many kind of double and triple negatives in this. Like, you can't deny that this is a provocative statement it's making. And I remember playing it and I was thinking, what made Pete choose this? Because
I think Chris, I think Pete saw Bubsy and thought, this is a recreation of Bubsy on the PlayStation, not realising that it actually was a James Turrell retrospective.
But it's just like, I thought, well, whatever its faults, what you cannot deny is that this is a bold choice for an opening game for our 2015 show.
Yeah, definitely.
And I tell you what, I really thought this was awful. I thought I felt this feels like I'm playing like it's got that bit of an Octodad aesthetic, but really stripped back. And the controls are terrible, and the glide function is ridiculous. And there's Comic Sans from top to bottom of your screen, which irritates me as an amateur designer. And so I glided down to the island section, the floating island section, and these talking frogs, and I thought, and then I entered the gallery, and I suddenly kind of felt I got the game. I thought, oh yeah, okay, I get it, I understand. And the thing I've really enjoyed about this game is it's introduced me to the artwork of James Turrell. In the same way that Carve Days for Day gave me a newfound affinity for Hieronymus Bosch artwork, or Frog Fractions. You know that kind of that Frog Fraction thing. Is this actually meant to be this crap, or actually are they trying something more sophisticated here, and I'm just not getting the joke yet? And I felt when playing this game there was a constant punchline there that was just a little bit out of my reach. And the reason I kept playing it was to try and hopefully seek out that punchline. So it was until I got to the gallery, really, that I just thought I didn't get this game at all, and I didn't really enjoy it. But actually, getting in the gallery, there's something about that collision of highbrow culture and this kind of very kind of guerrilla-style game making that I found quite pleasing.
I think, although I said kind of I didn't enjoy parts of it, I think there is a lot to, I wouldn't say like, but I think admire about what they're trying to do with this game. Obviously, it kind of, after the gallery element, it kind of falls down a bit of a rabbit hole, which you either go with or you don't, I think. I mean, again, I think throughout, for me, there was always an element of the developers think this is a clever idea, and it is, but they think it's a far cleverer idea than it actually is. That was my feeling I got from it. I mean, I don't really know why they chose Bubsy. I mean, I'm a big Bubsy fan. I remember playing back on the Mega Drive, the original Bubsy. The official title was Bubsy, starring in Claw's Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, that was a total pun-tastic, and the puns stick with it in the retrospective as well. I don't really know why it's Bubsy 3D. Why that maybe. They didn't think anyone would worry about the copyright of that, and that's why they didn't do a Mario. The fact that it's Bubsy adds nothing to it. It's just.
Do you think it's just a name they gave?
It's just it was they needed
to drag people in.
They needed a recognisable character to put on the front of it.
But is that the same as a Bobo's Big Adventure?
Possibly, yes. It's similar to that. I mean, I have actually, I didn't actually know it at the time, but I've had some kind of experience with the kind of the art installations of James Turrell. There's a music festival in Clapham in London every year called the Colorscape Music Festival, and basically I went to it this year, and basically what it is this giant kind of inflatable dome, and then within that it's lots of different small chambers which are all different colours, and so the light from outside projects different colours within the kind of the dome, and so it's actually really interesting walking around through these different coloured areas, and that's very similar, and I got a lot of feeling from that playing this game and seeing that his artwork, those kind of projections and kind of the use of colour and lighting and stuff like that it is really interesting. So that bit I really liked. In fact, I was experiencing that again, and I had kind of a bit of knowledge of it going back, but it's doing interesting things, but I think it's not as clever as it thinks it is, although it is a clever idea.
Well, you'll be able to find out if you go to bubsy3d.com. Arcane Studios are the people who are responsible. They also made Perfect Stride, which is a first-person skateboarding game.
What? Oh, I'm going to go and download that later.
The website for that is perfectstride.de. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Clever. Brilliant. Well, next month, the free game we'll be playing is we'll be joining a mad ginger man in a pub, and we'll be playing Hearthstone. Heroes of Warcraft, which is available at eu.battle.net or on your iOS or Android tablets, because it just takes too much to run it on the little mini ones. As far as I know,
it's coming soon to iPhone and to Android phones, but not yet.
I'll tell you what, better, because I need Daddy needs his hit. So we'll be joining a hairy ginger man in a pub for Hearthstone next month. eu.battle.net. You can add me on Battle.net, Mr. Sam Turner, if you so wish to be pummeled by my paladin. Brilliant. So, right, what should we do next? Oh, let's do Chris's glitch of the month. Let's get it out of the way, and then we'll finish.
What about? Yeah, let's look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay. No, well, Dan, we've had a 50% hit rate so far out of the 2 glitches of the month that we've had. So let's have it as always. Chris's glitch of the month. We'll play the jingle. Here it goes. It's Chris's. Of the month.
Oh, no.
Well, gentlemen, Grand Theft Auto 5 is the gift that keeps on giving.
Okay.
It's been in the
So
news
what was the glitch
recently.
last time? What
The
was
glitch
it? That was
last time was 2 players having a scene in the house, and
yeah.
it alerted the cops, and you couldn't do anything about it while your character was getting.
That's brilliant.
shot
Yeah,
to
I've
pieces.
seen. I watched that
good.
on YouTube recently.
There's another
that's
one.
Great.
Have you heard about the guy
on.
who turns into a liquor sign?
What?
At some point,
By liquor, do you
those big
mean
buildings?
alcohol?
You know the big
Go
buildings,
on.
and you've got the big kind of long, thin rectangle signs that've got lights on them, like lit words, and they stick out.
Neon
Sorry.
signs.
Yeah, neon ones. That's it, Sam. And you sign the things you put on an Uncharted 2. Yeah, you turn into one of those,
What? Yeah. Okay.
and you
Yeah.
walk around Grand Theft Auto. But the best bit is there's a great photo.
Is that a glitch or a cheat?
No, it's a glitch because it just happened, and then there's a great photo online. He encountered somebody else, and it also happened to them. And there's these great pictures of them, both of them, in a car, an open-top car. These 2 signs, just driving cars around Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't do anything about it. I will find a picture of it for you. Some would
Brilliant.
say
Some would say that he'd have to be prepared for this moment.
Yeah.
But do they have arms and legs? That's what we really want to know. Come on, Chris.
There you go.
Come on, Chris.
Okay, you got it.
On it. Come on, mate.
Oh my god, this is thrilling. This is equal, if not better, than the time we did a thumbs up.
This is
That's Sony's ours.
absolutely incredible.
Sony doesn't even run anymore. Before we continue, oh no, you've sent us a link.
Yeah, I did.
So
Yeah, I thought that's what you were opening up.
Click on the link. Yeah, but why didn't you just? Basically, they look like Han Solo in Frozen Carbonite, but it's got liquor sign on the back. To be fair, now I've seen it, it's actually not as funny as how I imagined it to be. Another successful glitch of the month from Chris there.
Well, that's lowered the percentage, isn't it?
Right, it was Christmas a few months ago, and it was New Year's. I hope you all had a fun time. I certainly did. At one point, we nearly got out Cluedo, but we're having such a good time that we didn't actually play it. So that just shows you. But Chris, I'm coming out to Liverpool soon, and I'm going to bring that Sherlock-based Cluedo adventure game, and we're going to play it. And I'm going to be Sherlock because it's my game, and you can be Mycroft. Do you want to be my Mycroft?
Yeah, I'll be in Mycroft because he's the smarter of the 2, isn't he? He's the laziest.
Yeah,
but he's the smarter.
but you forget that Sherlock always has to win, or else the game doesn't make sense.
Okay.
What?
Well, the game it's Sherlock. The game wouldn't make sense if Sherlock didn't win every time.
Okay.
Oh, right.
So is that what it says on the opening page of the rules book?
Yeah,
Whatever happens.
Sherlock. And because it's my game, I'm always Sherlock. By the way, guys, I'm doing another puzzle room at the end of the week. Just can't
What's
get
the theme?
enough. The theme is there's a missile strike and we've got an hour to stop it. Or else we'll all die, which would be fun. Talking of games, we each got a game for each other. Several games in some instances for our Secret Santa gifts at Christmas. A quick brief recap on the games that we got. Daniel, what did you receive?
I received Aliens Colonial Marines.
Aruga. Is that what they say?
Aruga.
Hoo-ha. What do they say, Pete? You know General Marine.
They say, hoorah.
Hoorah. That's it. We'll be asking Dan if it's Fubar just in a second. Peter Willington, what did you get?
I got the ever so lovely Leisure Suit Larry collection on PC.
Brilliant. And we'll be asking Peter whether she'd be covering it up in just a minute. I received, of course, among other things, Puppeteer, Oblivion, and finally Sleeping Dogs. We'll be chowing down on that particular juicy bone in a while. But Chris Darby, have you been tempted to bite the forbidden fruit of Child of Eden? Please tell us more.
Yeah.
Yeah? Brilliant. Well, to be fair, I wanted to keep this short anyway, so that's
yeah.
Okay.
I know, genuinely. This is. I think I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think
you got Child of Eden, didn't you?
It's my favourite scene. Yeah, it's Child of Eden.
India.
Yeah, expansion pack from Ubisoft.
No, in DLC.
Is that Delhi? No, guys, wait. I got it. Perfect pun. Is that Delhi Sea?
Just leave.
How many times have I told you? You keep overstating the word perfect.
Delhi is in India.
I still haven't got over that euthanasia gag you said last year. Basically, Child of Eden, I think I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say this is my favourite ever Secret Santa present I've been given.
Oh, well,
yes.
that's sort of sticking it in the eye of everyone who's ever bought your present.
Exactly.
But no,
I was given mine, Jack.
Also by the same person,
I deserve that completely. No, it's absolutely fantastic. I had no idea what I was going to be playing until I put. Obviously, when I booted it up, I'd never heard of it before. Absolutely fantastic. A very gorgeous breath of fresh air. Absolutely beautiful. Part kind of trippy adventure. Part kind of those. You remember on your PlayStation when you could put your music CD in, and you get all those wonderful graphical visualizations of really old bitty types. Part that. Absolutely gorgeous. And it just completely de-stresses me. Had a hard day at work, come back, I can just put on a level of that, and I'm just in this absolutely gorgeous world. Of basically swirling, constantly moving. I don't have any control over my movements. I just move these crosshairs on the screen, and I basically have to target certain coloured floating orbs, and it's just this beautiful kind of psychedelic kind of trip-hop collection of colours and shapes and animals, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and you get bonus points for timing it in time with the music, so there's a percussive element to it as well. You're contributing to the actual score of it. It's absolutely beautiful.
Would you be interested in playing that game with a PlayStation Move? As it was designed to.
Originally when I started, I would have said yes, because it took me a while to get used to and getting quite frustrated not being able to get the crosshair to quickly move to all areas of the screen.
Yeah.
Actually, now I've got it and I'm with that rhythm, so I'm fine without the PlayStation Move. I'd be interested to see what it's like with the PlayStation Move. It'd probably feel more musical that I'm conducting some kind of orchestra.
What about if, provided the technology works, which I grant you is a big if, what about kind of using it with a Kinect type technology?
It was released with Kinect, wasn't it?
No, it was released with Kinect. I'm just saying, because let's face facts, Kinect isn't the most reliable of technologies. So, if that worked kind of as it's supposed to, how would you have enjoyed it in that kind of environment?
That kind of takes it into the kind of the embodied kind of playing of the game, which is more along the lines of, say, like a Rock Band or a Wii. I'm not too au fait with those kind of games anyway, unless they're in social surroundings. So playing it by myself, probably not. I still like the controller aspect of it. Awesome. It's actually much more accessible that way to me.
I'll lend you.
So thank you, Santa.
I'll lend you my Move when when I can be bothered to go and get it. It's at my dad's, which is, ages away, so that's why. Daniel Frost, you played a game which by all reports is Fubar. Was it Fubar or Ura?
Well, before we move on to that excellently put question, Pete, you got this game for me, did you not?
I did indeed, yeah.
Could you just clarify why it was you actually bought this game for me?
Sure thing. So, I wanted to get this game for you because I know that you don't particularly like horror games, and I know that you don't particularly like crab-like creatures, and this game contains both of them, but like both of those elements. But I also knew that it wasn't really that scary a game, and maybe because you're an overpowered marine, or whatever it is that you play in this game, maybe that would help you conquer your fear.
Okay, I thought that was your reason, and I can honestly say you've been entirely unsuccessful, I'm afraid. Right. But the problem isn't the fact that it was too scary, but it wasn't scary in the slightest. That it didn't at any point. After 5 minutes, after the first time I saw an alien, at which point there's a weird thing when the alien first shows its head, they chose a sound effect of a seagull. Which I had to repeat a few times to see. As the alien pops his head out, in like a little cutscene for the first time, you hear a little seagull caw. So that was a bit odd.
So that made you, all you had to do was just drop your sandwiches?
Pretty much, yeah. And I was done. But no, that was about 5 minutes into the game. It was tense, it was a bit nervy up until that point. Again, only for 5 minutes. After that, aliens, the xenomorphs, who are, let's face it, in cinema, one of the most feared creatures, became nothing more than random cannon fodder that just run towards you and mean absolutely nothing.
Wow.
And after 5 minutes, I would sit there happily playing the game thinking, I'm not scared in the slightest. For one, it's terrible as well. It's really, really bad. They throw in some random cutscenes, random QuickTime events every now and again, but the random QuickTime events, the instruction of what to do, it's in the centre of the screen, and it's tiny, so you literally have to walk up to the screen as you're playing it to say, oh, that's what it wants me to do, because it doesn't look like that from sitting on my chair. So yeah, it's just really, really bad. The checkpoints are really far away, so if you die, you've got to go through a huge slog again just to get back to anywhere close to where you are, at which point the same thing that killed you last time kills you again, because you haven't really got any idea of why you died the first time. So eventually you kind of bumble your way through and you think, oh, that's why I died. And then you move on to the next bit which kills you, and then you get sent back right to the start again. It's really bad. The graphics are awful. I've seen... This is the end of the PS3, Xbox 360 kind of generation, and there are games that came out at the beginning of that generation that are superior in graphics. They really are. I mean, if you look at, say, because obviously I played Halo. I think Halo 3 was the first of the Halo games to come out on Xbox 360, and that far surpasses the graphics you're getting from Aliens, Colonial Marines. Which is a shame, because the first 5 minutes there was genuine tension. And when you're walking around and you enter this kind of part of this ship and you see kind of the eggs, and some of them are open, some of them have escaped, and you see some of them locked up, and my initial thought is just shoot them all, because I don't want any of those things jumping out at me and jumping on my face. But nothing really happened with them, and then you open up a door and you see something scuttle on the ceiling, you're like, ooh, what's that? It moved too quickly. Genuine tension. But then you see the alien, it makes its seagull sound, and you think, well, I'm not scared anymore. I'm done.
And when Dan Frost says a game isn't scary, it isn't scary.
It's really not, because I am a wuss when it comes to scary games. I wanted it to be like what I hear Alien Isolation is, which is really... I wanted it. I wanted to be scared by it. I did, because it's supposed to be... aliens are scary. It just wasn't. It succeeded in making one of the scariest film villains of all time into nothing more than a grunt from the Halo games, which are comical.
There's a guy on the Liverpool High Street. I don't know if you saw him, Sam, when you came and saw me. He's dressed as the alien. Yeah. And he's slightly overweight, so his suit doesn't fit him completely. So you can see his T-shirt sticking out and stuff. And he's dressed as the alien with like extending kind of mandibles coming out of his mouth. And you know, like the egg stand.
Yeah.
He has an open one of those as a container for people to put money in. And you're thinking, who really is going to want to have their photos taken with this guy? Like, and up the road, like his rival up the road is Predator.
Brilliant.
I don't know whether they come together or whether one was trying to outdo the other. And I thought, oh, this will piss Mick off.
The thing, Dan, that for years has been forever in your favour is that Dead Space 2 has never dropped below £6.
Yeah.
Until now, it's now £2 in CEX. But unfortunately, I think by the time that we come around to this year's Secret Santa, I think you would have moved on console-wise by then. But we can only hope that Alien Isolation, which is currently at £28, takes a massive drop, as that is...
I mean, my understanding of Alien Isolation is that you can't kill the alien, and the alien, if he finds you, he'll kill you. That's what I kind of want from these aliens. I don't want there to be an army of aliens who I could easily pick off from a distance with a random generic machine gun. That's not scary. And that when you shoot them, they dissolve into acid and then disappear from your screen. They don't even, the dead body doesn't even stay there. The graphics aren't good enough for it to remain rendered. It just disappears. Oh, this game.
Peter Willington.
Why did you do this to me?
Merry Christmas. Peter Willington. We're quickly running out of time. So let's hear about... No, actually, we'll leave yours to last. You've got 5 games to cover. Sleeping Dogs. Eventually got around to it. Can I just say, Chris, 3 games you got me. So I replayed a bit more of Puppeteer that I've already bought. I like that game, but it's a bit tricky in a way that sometimes Japanese games can be in its story and its... But I really... Chris, you would really love the aesthetics of Puppeteer because you're playing it in front of,
you're playing it in front of an
audience. And they whoop and they cheer and they boo and it's like playing through a pantomime and that's really nice and lovely. Oblivion was...
Did you complete it?
No, but it's...
Was it all in German?
No, it wasn't, thankfully, even though I was quite looking forward to actually having an all-in-German experience with it. But
tell me all.
But I think I'm going to go back to Oblivion because I think I want to play it a bit more because I like their games. So we come to Sleeping Dogs, which is many people are familiar with it now. That it was this game that was at the time when it came out, it was heavily sort of criticised for being just another Grand Theft Auto, but it's actually not. I mean, it has very much a lot of mechanics similar to Grand Theft Auto. You've got an open world map. You've got 2 warring factions. You play the role of an undercover cop who's trying to infiltrate these factions and sort them out. And there's people he used to know from his old neighbourhood, and there's a sexy woman, and all those kind of tropes you'd expect. But the one thing that sets this apart from Grand Theft Auto is that it has a fighting mechanic in that's very much a Batman Rocksteady fighting combo mechanic, which actually brings some interesting play styles to the fore, because not only you interacting in this interesting world, but it's like the fighting mechanics of Stranglehold, but in an open world, actual successful environment. Like the fact that you can take a player and you can ram their head into a fridge or drop a sign on their head, just like you can do in Stranglehold, and it's very over the top and very sort of like a martial arts film. And that's what I kind of really liked about Stranglehold.
Is this a game I need to play?
Sleeping Dogs. I think you do, Peter Winton. I think you would enjoy it. Okay. The combat is a little finicky, but I don't know if that's because I dropped some liquids on my controller a while ago and made the buttons quite sticky, or the response times are just not as fast and quick that I would like them. But go on.
I'm just saying, Pete, knowing my luck, if I draw you this year for Secret Santa, you may end up I might accidentally buy it for you.
Brilliant. I hope you do. I think you would.
In German?
I think all of you would enjoy it. The story's interesting. The general exploration of the world is interesting because you can parkour over environments and through environments, which is good fun. And the combat just brings up another element to it. And I think Hong Kong, or wherever it's set, is an interesting environment to explore anyway. It's great. Peter, you played 5 games for your Secret Santa. Finish us off with what Leisure Suit Larry is up to.
Leisure Suit Larry Collection is 5 full games, as it proudly states on the front of the box. When you install the game, first of all, it takes way too long to install for games that were that can run on basically VGA monitors, not even SVGA. Way too long, way too much. The specifications, the processor requirements are really only for the Windows XP menus that they have to run. It really is. They really are old games. The menu, as you open it up, claims that there are 6 games. When you click on one of them, I think it's episode 4, a little text box, literally a text box, in a text editor, pops up, and it's the guy who wrote them, wherever it is, Al Lowe. And he says,
he apologise.
And he says, no, there was never an episode 4 or never an episode 5 or whatever it was, and there never will be. Sometimes, who said sequels have to work in order? So I did some research. I was like, what? So I did some research on this. Turns out, there are 5 Leisure Suit Larry games up to the point where the number 6 comes in. So they actually missed a game. In the same way that Windows 10 is skipping Windows 9.
All right. Okay. So there's.
Yeah. So there's like Leisure Suit Larry 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 or something like that, because the other one just doesn't exist. I have no idea why. For a series, you can probably get a bit of a sort of taste of the quality and caliber of these games when they can't get numbered sequels right. They are absolutely atrocious. I will confess to not having completed all of them. I tried all of them once. The one I played the most was the original, as I'd heard that was the one that was very bawdy in its humour, but was not like trying to be super smutty. Yeah. Like it was meant to be a bit more of a carry-on movie. I don't know who told me that, but I'm not going to be their friend anymore because it is awful. The game introduces a dedicated. So it's an adventure game, right? And like it's a point-and-click adventure game, like Broken Sword, Beneath the Steel Sky, which you've played on free play. Like a traditional adventure game. Just think of it as a traditional adventure game. You have these different actions: look, walk, use, unzip your flies. Oh wait, hold on. That's not a traditional adventure game mechanic, is it? So there's an entire thing where, Al Lowe has written text for this. Every single person, you can unzip your trousers and get your cock out, and they have a response, right?
Brilliant. I quite like that dedication.
I like
Having
the dedication.
Made our own game.
Absolutely, I like the dedication. I like the attention to detail. What I don't like is that instead of throughout all of the 5 games in the six episode series, they say like. Increasingly, the women just become used to it. Like the very opening of episode 6, right? You go up to a hotel, and the first thing you do, right, if you're an immature arsehole like me, is you use the zip thing, and you've got your cock out in front of the receptionist, right? And the receptionist, instead of saying something realistic or even funny, just sort of says in this sighing, of course this is going to happen way, I'd much prefer a different form of identification if that's possible.
Guys. I've done it. Right. So, this year, we're going to make another game. It's Leisure Suit Larry.
Yep.
But basically, Dan, but we'll give proper responses. So within the first 5 minutes, you're already in jail. On sex offenders register.
you might, some people listening might be like, oh, well, isn't that prudish? Like, it's meant to be a bit bawdy, it's meant to be a bit sexy, it's not meant to be realistic or anything like that. But, and fine, okay, like, fine, whatever. But, like, also within the first scene of the first game, and like I say, the first game is absolutely the one that I spent most of my time with. I'd spent 5 minutes having a shit, right? I walked off...
Is it a mobile game?
Yeah. So I walked off a screen into an alley and automatically died. There was no way of telling how, like, what was going to happen. Basically, you just go onto this one screen, you're dead, that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't give any indication. There's no, like, text that I could find that said, don't go that way. You're just dead. And if you haven't saved, you're fucked. And, like, so there was that. I had the massive shit. And also, you make a really awful homophobic joke about these two guys who are sat at a bar who A, aren't gay, and B, like, haven't done anything to you. You just sort of like sidle into this grotty bar and you see these two guys who are having a conversation with one another, and apparently that's enough for them to be in a relationship, and apparently that's enough for you to sort of go, haha, they're gay. Like...
Is it sexy? Is the game...
The game is not sexy whatsoever. So, like...
How many boobs are in it?
There are so you can see some boobs, right?
It's an odd number.
You can see some boobs, and I think
17.
after
Peter's the biggest tit.
it's true. You feel like a tit when you're playing it. Like after episode 6, I think it is, they went on and did like ones with animation and stuff like that, and slightly more sophisticated visuals, But I mean, like, you know how the original Super Monkey Island, how Monkey Island looks. Like the original Monkey Island.
Yeah. It's the original, yeah.
That's the caliber of visuals. So, like, if you can get
all
turned
the way
on
through for all 5.
So
6.
5 gets a little bit better. Like 4 and 5 get a little bit better, but it's not a lot. And like, if that's enough to turn you on, and you've got to work fucking hard to see anything, like. You
tried.
You've got to put like hours. Yeah, like
you do sound like a man who's tried.
And it's more
it's been years.
Yeah, that's why I don't like this.
I played
I'm frustrated.
This game, and all I saw were a couple of
like
boobs.
The only thing that I
cock out all the time.
The only thing that I took away from it that I really liked was, and I completely forgot about this, was that there's when you start the first couple of games, I think it's the first 2, there's like a password protection thing in there, and it used to be that you would get massive manuals, and it would say. Password protection used to be turn to page 32 of whatever it is, 4th line, what is the 8th word? Well, with Leisure Suit Larry, it was you would read through the manual and try and absorb the information of the universe that Leisure Suit Larry was in, and you'd be able to answer questions. Like the game would ask you at the start. First of all, it asks a couple of questions that only adults would know to act as its like age verification, which is funny.
Okay, what were they?
Obviously, doesn't work. So it will say things like John, George, Ringo, and then you have to put in a multiple choice thing and say, whoever it is, Paul.
To be fair, that's probably a stricter age verification than just saying what's your date of birth.
and I was like, that's really funny and that's great, but it's also like comes just after them saying how old are you, and you go, oh, I'm over 18 or something, and it goes, yeah, right. It totally knows that it's like playing to minors. But the other cool thing is that it says for its actual like data protection, so you haven't just copied that floppy. It says you need it says like, what is Leisure Suit Larry's, where does he live, or whatever it is. And, like, in the manual in the game, it actually had all of that information. And, like, so that was kind of cool. And all the information is actually in the manual that comes with the game that I have. But I thought that was really awesome. Like, that was a really cool way of, like, getting around copy protection without doing, it was like a really advanced version of DRM, sort of early version of DRM, which I thought was really cool. That was a really cool thing about it. But the actual game is really obnoxious, sexist, homophobic garbage.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully Santa will shower you with gifts. Leisure Suit Larry was one of those games that I always really wanted to play when I was a kid, but considering I was too scared to let my parents know I was playing GTA, that I deleted it every time I played it, and then had to reinstall it every day.
I love that story.
It was never going to happen. Well, that's it for this month's InRetrospect show,
nice one.
hosted by myself. Peter Willington's here, Chris Darby, Daniel Frost. My name's Sam Turner, by the way. You can follow us all on Twitter, collectively at InRetroSpect. Also, retrospectpodcast.com is our website. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Stitcher. Where's our game?
It'll be on InRetrospectPodcast.com. We'll have a link to it from the front page. It'll also be on itch.io, but yeah, we'll link to it.
All right, fantastic. So just go to the website. All the easiest thing to do is just subscribe to us on the iTunes. Sorry, that was all the wine that I've been drinking, repeating on myself. Oh, and I also had a really lovely Japanese meal before we came on air, which is there's a really nice pizza Japanese restaurant around the corner from us. So when you and your good lady come to visit, we're going to grab a bento box.
Ooh.
Yeah? Actually, it's a little bit awkward because on the front of the Japanese restaurant, they've got these two pieces of fabric that's split in the middle, and then there's a door.
Curtains.
Well, yeah, but they're not curtains because they don't really reach the floor, and they don't cover the whole of the window. So when you're trying to walk in, you're just like, oh, the fabric. And then I closed the door behind me, but I didn't realise there were these two Japanese fellas wanting to get into the restaurant as well. So I just thought the door was stuck, so I just kept on pulling it closed. And because the fabric was there, I still couldn't see these people until I realised someone else was pulling on the door.
So you sort of accidentally got involved in a race hate crime.
It was Iwo Jima all over again. Wonderful references. What was I going to say? Yes, so apart from doing all that, you can start playing our free game of next month, which is Hearthstone, eu.battle.net. It's free for there. There's a big picture of a ginger guy with lots of hair who looks a bit like Gimli's brother, the friendly one. Install that on your iOS device or your PC or your Mac. It's available on all the things. If you're really clever like me, you have it on both. So then you can play it while you're speaking to your pals or while you're on the train. So that's wonderful. So Hearthstone.
Train, read, toilet.
Yeah, everything. Just to say, guys, that I think Pete wants us to play this over a couple of editions because it can get quite deep.
Yeah, again, like that's something that that's something that we're going to do with these podcasts going forward. We want to have fewer games, and we're going to play them for slightly longer. So we will have episodes where we'll just cover one game for one episode, but I think Hearthstone deserves at least a couple of episodes. So we'll be doing that.
At least a couple, because I think I've been playing it for a while, for a long time, and I think it is the best mobile game that I've ever played. So I think it's definitely worth chatting about.
Yeah.
Just to let you all guys know that I want you all to get up to level 10 on 2 characters before we reconvene. And
easy.
You'll get up to level 10 with your first character just through the tutorial, but it's just going beyond that. If you want to spend some money, but don't, because it's free play. Brilliant. That's your lot. This has been In Retrospect, and we've had a lot of fun. Tatty bye.